welcome to Music of the Baroque's 55th season and the first edition of Baroque Notes, our virtual pre-concert talks. I'm Jen Moore, and I'm Music of the Baroque's program annotator. We're launching our Emerald Anniversary celebration with Christoph Willibald Gluck's Orfeo et Eurydice, a remarkable work that helped change the course of opera in the 18th century. In the early 1700s, opera was a singer's world. Composer and satirist Benedetto Marcello joked in 1720 that when walking with singers, a composer should keep a step behind, hat in hand, because even the lowest of the singers was at least a general on the operatic battlefield. It's an exaggeration, but a revealing one. Composers like George Friedrich Handel wrote with specific star singers in mind, tailoring arias to their unique skills. If a singer didn't like a new aria, they might simply swap in a favorite from another opera. The structure of opera reinforced the star system too. The da capo aria, a three-part form in which the third part was a return of the first, but gloriously embellished, was a playground for vocal fireworks. In opera seria, the serious courtly style of the day, this was the norm. By the mid-18th century, however, the aesthetic center of gravity began to shift, and increasingly critics and audiences wanted opera to feel more natural, less about display for its own sake, and more about realistic drama, character, and clarity. They argued that form should follow feeling, not the other way around. Gluck's ideals emerged from this climate. After formative years in Central Europe and Italy and a London sojourn, Gluck settled in Vienna, where, along with librettist Calzabigi, he set out to reform the genre of opera from the inside. One of Gluck's influences was Francesco Algarotti's 1755 Essay on the Opera, in which he states that drama should, quote, delight the eyes and ears, rouse up and affect the hearts of an audience without the risk of sinning against reason or common sense. Between 1762 and 1770, Gluck and Calzabigi realized the same essentially with a three-part musical manifesto, Orfeo et Eurydice in 1762, Alceste in 1767, and Paride et Elena in 1770. These operas challenged the rigid conventions of serious opera, especially the reliance on the da capo aria and long stretches of dry, speech-like secco recitative, speech-like song accompanied by a continuo section, often cello and harpsichord. What's so different about Gluck's Orfeo? Well, first, it lasts about 90 minutes, so you'll notice this right away. It's roughly half the length of a typical Baroque opera seria, and he strips away much ornamental excess. As Gluck explained his guiding principle in the foreword to Alceste, the opera that followed Orfeo et Eurydice, I sought to confine music to its true function of serving the poetry by expressing feelings and the situations of the story without interrupting and cooling off the action through useless and superfluous ornaments. I believed that music should join to poetry what color and light do for a well-composed painting, animating the figures without altering their contours. Now, not everyone applauded. Handel supposedly quipped, "He knows no more counterpoint than my cook." And although Vienna's 1762 audience wasn't instantly sure what to make of Orfeo, it caught on quickly. Gluck and Calzabigi chose a myth with deep operatic roots. In fact, the very first operas to ever exist, right around the turn of the 17th century, Peri's Eurydice and Monteverdi's Orfeo, used the exact same literary source. Dramatically, Gluck and Calzabigi's version is a dream. It just had three principal characters, Orfeo, Eurydice, and Amore, or Cupid, and a very clean narrative arc with obvious moral stakes. Unlike opera seria's intricate courts full of rulers, lovers, confidants, and multiple subplots, Orfeo is focused and easy to follow. Gluck also weaves in the chorus, which comments on and participates in the drama, as was standard in Greek theater, and he uses dance as well. The ultimate aim was an integrated theater, where chorus and ballet weren't just decorative add-ons, but were rather structural components of the drama. Orfeo gave them the perfect canvas. The story is familiar. Orpheus mourns Eurydice. Cupid grants a conditional reprieve. Orpheus may lead Eurydice back to life if he neither looks at her nor explains why. The human cost of that condition drives the final act. Eurydice, hurt by Orpheus' silence, passionately questions his love. Orpheus, torn between fidelity to Cupid's command and his compassion for his wife, turns to look and loses her all over again. In the style of the time, Gluck and Calzabigi supply a lieto fine, a happy ending, when Cupid returns with an excuse to reunite the lovers. What does this reform sound like? Orfeo still has an overture in 3 acts, as would an opera seria, but within them, the music constantly flows. You'll hear strophic songs through composed arias, accompanied recitative with orchestra, not just continuo, choral interjections, and ballet, all interwoven to keep the action moving. It's quite clear from the very start. One of my favorite examples takes place at the beginning of Act 2 when we arrive at the gates of the underworld. The Furies protect their realm with fierce choral music. Orpheus wins them over, not with bravura singing, but with lyrical melodies, straightforward harmony, and the symbolic sound of his lyre. Act 3 focuses primarily on the exchange between Eurydice and Orpheus. She is thrilled to see him and confused over his behavior. For 18th century opera involving 2 mythological characters, their dialogue is actually quite realistic, and at times it almost verges into domestic dispute territory. The exchange culminates in an expansive duet that almost foreshadows Mozart. Orpheus's signature aria, Che farò senza Euridice, What Will I Do Without Eurydice, is quintessential Gluck, plain spoken melody, unadorned line, and a harmony that actually invites the audience into Orpheus's grief rather than resisting them with vocal flourishes. This video clip actually features Arya Nussbaum-Cohen, our countertenor soloist for these performances, and he's going to be amazing. Across these scenes, Gluck's orchestra and chorus are co-protagonists, much more than a frame around the star singers, with his promise to, quote, restrict music to its true office of serving poetry. Gluck ironically liberates opera, shifting the center from virtuosic display to dramatic truth. Orfeo ed Eurydice became Gluck's most popular opera and one of the 18th century's most influential. Its aesthetic, music and drama working hand in hand, left fingerprints on Mozart's ensembles and finales, echoes in Beethoven's Fidelio, and reverberations well beyond, I read, connections even to Wagner's early operas, which might be slightly misstated, but I'll mention it anyway. The Orpheus myth, moreover, has never stopped inviting reinvention. In the contemporary musical Hadestown, a character asks, if I raise my voice, could I change my fate? If I raise my voice, could I change the way it is? That question, a 21st century question, lies at the heart of Gluck's 18th century reform. When music serves poetry and poetry serves the stage, voices can enact powerful changes. As you listen to our performances of Gluck's Orfeo on September 14th at the North Shore Center in Skokie, September 15th at the Harris Theater in downtown Chicago, or on demand from September 19th through October 19th, notice how often Gluck resists the easy thrill. When the chorus speaks, when a line of recitative swells into melody, when a dance paints what words cannot, those are the moments where we really see Gluck's reform flourishing. They remind us that opera is not just a platform for ego, but is actually a theater of feeling. And in Orfeo ed Eurydice, feeling leads the way. Thank you so much.